This interview with Alexjones. This was it. Steven Crowder.
Let's make sure that we are unified in this. No one needs to pass a purity test of agreeing with everything that we agree with for us to just say, hey, they have the right to say it. They have the right to say it. They have the right to engage in commerce. Oh, this is a test today. Can we all unify under the fact that this is egregious, what's happening with Alexjones? Can we all do that? Should be able to do that. Do we have him? I believe we have him. All right. We now are going to go to, I believe we have him on the line. And if you can hear me, Alex, we also have Mug Club Extended, so please don't get me removed from YouTube. It's time for Alexjones. Mr. Jones. Oh, okay, I see that smirk. What were you saying? Was that a dirty joke?
No, I said I'm really jealous of that shirt. I'm going to rip it off and make my own copy.
Well, I can just come on now. Well, then I want you to pay me
$1 billion. That is the coolest shirt. That is the coolest shirt I've seen yet. Absolutely. But what you're talking about is absolutely true. And I'd love to give everybody the inside baseball, what really happened with the case, how it's a precedent setter, and where it's going. Because
Alex, hold on just 1 second, Alex, because I want to give you the floor, okay? And what's the best place? Because I know you have several sites. Is it Infowars.com still the best place for people to go?
Yeah, so they want to actually hear what we're saying and not edited clips or twisted derivatives, and they want to hear what the establishment is so scared of. Infowars.com, Infowars.com/show, and banned.video. And they see us like a Roman standard. Right. They want to capture and pull down and get control of. I am the Democrat deep state noodle shoe toy.
I want to give you the
shoe toy.
I know, I want to give you the floor, but I think it's really important to set this up. And believe me, I'm going to let you run. You know me well enough. I'm going to let you run with this. But I want to set up something. For example, when I had Brian Callen on the show one time, and he was falsely accused of sexual assault, I spoke with Brian and I said, look, I'm going to lead this interview with, did you do it? And he said, no, off air. I said, Brian, you're going to say that on air, and I don't care what your lawyers tell you. If you didn't do it, say it. And so I want to lead this right now because I think this is pivotal. And we've done several multi-hour long shows. But for some reason, this gets lost. And I want you to correct me if I have this wrong. So in 2017, as an example, because the narrative is Sandy Hook, you tormented the parents, you called them out by name, and you continually harassed them. From what I understand, and I have some quotes here in front of me, and I want you to tell me if I'm misquoting you, you admitted you were wrong, and you apologized, and I think that's key, because they still want to go after you anyway. So 2017, you talked about an epiphany you had on Father's Day. You said, forgive me, on Father's Day, I want to reach out to the parents of the slain children at the horrible tragedy in Newtown, Connecticut, and give you my sincere condolences. You said that, right?
Yes.
Okay. You also said I'd also like to reach out to any of the parents who lost a child at Newtown to invite them to contact me to open a dialogue, because I think it's really essential we do that instead of letting the mainstream media misrepresent things and really try and drive this nation apart. You said that, right?
Before they sued me.
Yes, before they sued you. And then in 2019 in a deposition you said, and I myself have almost like a form of psychosis in the past where I basically thought everything was staged, even though I've now learned a lot of times things aren't staged. And I'm not saying this to embarrass you, Alex. I'm saying it because you were clear in that you had a change of heart, or you believed that you were wrong, or you believed you made a mistake, which I think is admirable. And I think the fact that they want to browbeat you after that is what is so scary. And I think that people out here would do well, if you're watching, to understand that apologies do nothing with these monsters. You also said, so I think as a pundit, someone giving an opinion, that, my opinions have been wrong, but they were never wrong consciously to hurt people. So do I have this right in saying multiple times you said you were wrong and you apologized in one fashion or another? And by the way, both before and after being sued. Would that be a correct statement for me to make, Alex?
I said I believe Sandy Hook happened in 2016.
Right.
I said it in 2015. And this is important. It's a lot bigger than Alexjones. It's the anatomy of the left. It's like with George Floyd or something, taking something and then blowing it up to be the biggest thing on earth. It's like you can take a microscope and zoom in on a grain of sand and it looks like the Himalayan mountains, but it's not really. So here's what really happened.
Yes.
Here's what really happened. I could give you the latest information where they're going with it. This is going to affect everybody, and thank you, sir. Okay, Sandy Hook happens. It's a huge political event. Obama has it with the White House. It's going on. I think maybe somebody helped the kid kill these kids. The whole story's bizarre. And then about a year after it, all these professors and people that sounded credible come out, school safety experts, and say that they thought it was just completely staged. And I'd seen things like Operation Northwoods that talked about staging attacks on school kids that didn't exist as a pretext for war with Cuba and Russia. So I said, yeah, a lot of stuff's been staged. Maybe this is. So I did 4 or 5 programs from like 2000 and I guess 13, 14, questioning maybe that it was staged. Barely a blip on the radar. It was a huge internet issue. Hundreds of millions of views on YouTube, other people's videos. My listeners wanted to know. My crew wanted to cover it. They wanted to talk about it. So what they put in evidence against me was about 24 minutes in Texas, about 25 minutes in Connecticut. In 10 years, this is the big evil stuff. The guy that got rich off Sandy Hook, the guy that wears Sandy Hook underwear, the guy that prays 5 times a day to New Haven, Connecticut. I mean, my mother didn't give birth to me. Sandy Hook did. I mean, my whole life is this, okay?
Right.
But it's not. So Hillary and the Democrats start running this false news campaign during 2016 campaign that I'm Trump's brain. They look at this flamboyant, wild guy. He's a populist. He's got a lot of people supporting Trump. Let's make him a liability. Let's take the worst stuff he said out of context and run tens of millions of TV ads against Trump using Alexjones saying he's Trump's brain.
And one thing, just to make really clear is just, again, for the YouTube gods, you understand how this is, Alex. You were talking.
They'll lie and say I'm saying it didn't happen again.
No, but they'll say that what you were saying because you saw this, and there were other people, there were other professors, there were other conspiracy theorists, some of whom turned out to not be credible, and then you didn't have them on your show anymore. You did say maybe this is staged, and just again to be clear, you afterwards said no, it was not staged. I was wrong. You did correct it, right, Alex?
Yes. But it's important to understand this timeline.
Yeah.
So for over a year and a half, from 2015 into 2016, we've checked the record. I never talked about it one time. And I told the crew, this is a tar baby. It's a setup. I don't want to ever discuss it again. I think it happened. We started seeing that some of the folks that were claiming it was staged had gone even crazier and were now dysregulating and showing that indeed they had put out things that were wrong. So I was not the Sandy Hook guy. It didn't put me on the map. I barely ever covered it. But Hillary blows it up, makes it a cause celeb for Democrats. They use it to bring back all the gun control and now attacks on free speech and to attack Trump. And so then Trump wins. They go even crazier. And they start attacking me, saying he's sending people to the kids' houses. He's sending people to the parents' houses. He won't stop saying it didn't happen. And I'm like, I said years ago it happened. Stop it. This is a media event. They're building up, obviously, to come after the First Amendment. So I issued dozens of corrections, dozens of apologies. You just mentioned one of them there. And then they sue me in 2018. And then they do all this discovery. We give them all the emails, all the text messages, everything. There's no evidence we made money on Sandy Hook. There's no evidence I premeditatedly got it wrong on purpose. And so both Democrat-connected judges, one of them is supposedly a Republican, but she's like George W. Bush, they default me saying
Oh, we lost Alex for a second. Alex, can you hear me, brother? This is
He's lost.
This is clearly the globalists.
He's told I'm guilty. The jury's told I'm guilty.
Still talking.
I'm not allowed in a 5-week trial in Connecticut to defend myself. The judge actually says, you can't say you're innocent. You can't say you're bankrupt. You can't say you didn't make money off of it. I say it's all true. And then they instruct the jury after 5 weeks of crying parents, not talking about Adam Lanza killing their children, talking about me.
Well, I know that, Alex, but let me ask you a couple of important questions here, because I think these are things that people, and I know you have I believe you have a highlight, or are we going to roll the highlight? The one that, did you have something you wanted to show us a clip? But look, I think it's important to note, first off, let me ask you questions. If you could just give me yes or no's on this, and I want to give you the floor again.
Yes, sir.
Did you ever call the parents out by name on air and say that they were their children, like call them out by name on air?
Only Robbie Parker.
Okay. And afterwards,
and I did not say that he staged it or it was fake. I said people think this clip was like 30 million views on YouTube or more.
Right.
It was a viral clip. People say this guy looks fake. And so I said, yeah, it does look like acting to me, but he's, under stress, whatever. So they've built this mountain out of a molehill.
Right. I have one other question too.
Years and years. Yeah, yes, they gave an FBI agent who I'd never seen till he sued me, didn't know who he was, He gets up there and cries about me. They gave him $90 million when under federal and state law, you can't sue somebody you've never said their name for defamation or slander. Never said his name, never asked for a retraction until he sued me. Didn't even know who he was till I saw his name on the lawsuit. He gets $90 million.
Well, let me ask you another follow-up.
So Winfrey's handing out, you get a car, you get a car. It's like,
yes.
You get...
Well, I do have a question that's important here, because people will say, well, the reason you weren't allowed to defend yourself is it was a default judgment, and they say because you didn't provide the evidence, right, that was requested in discovery. Give me very specifics, not just all. You did provide and hand over a lot of evidence. What did you hand over? Because they did have financials. They did have, certainly in the Texas trial, they did have access to financials. They did have access to certain traffic metrics. When I was watching the trial, they would say, well, actually, they didn't hand over, for example, the Alexa reportings as opposed to the Google Analytics reportings. What kind of evidence, when you were asked to hand over, just give me some examples of what you did hand over. Did you hand over financial documents as it related to the company?
Yes.
Did you hand over documents as it related to, you know, like different traffic and revenue streams to some degree or another?
To an extreme degree, the most ever given over in a civil defamation trial, many lawyers estimate. Stephen, let me be 100% clear.
So what are they saying you didn't provide is my point. Because this is something a lot of people who unfortunately on the right, Alex, this is important. I'm just saying this because people will try and take this out of context. People on the right will say, well, then you should comply during discovery. What in the fuck are they claiming you didn't provide so that you were not allowed to defend yourself?
All right, let me answer that question, and then I want to get into people saying, oh, this is just for Alexjones. In Texas, they claimed that because we did so much discovery, and they would have each person that they were deposing give them more discovery, so they'd say, out of the 200,000 emails you gave us in Texas, in one of the discovery batches you gave us, there was one extra email that wasn't in this batch. Little weird gotcha games. Mm-hmm. And then in Connecticut, the judge kept saying, give me the Google Analytics. Well, we hardly ever even used Google Analytics, hardly ever even looked at it.
Yeah.
So we explained to the judge, ma'am, it's a search box for the back end of Google, and a lot of it you have to pay for. We've never paid for it. We've barely ever used it, but we searched for Google Analytics and found one writer and one other person in the group that had looked at Google Analytics and said, oh, look how much traffic we're getting a few times. So we gave them what we had in our system about Google Analytics. Take Alexa, same thing. They said, give us the Alexa. Well, Stephen, I want you to give me the Google. And then I say, and then you say, okay, what do you want me to search in Google?
Right.
No, sir, give me the Google.
Right.
Give me the Alexa. We know you've got it. So they followed this unfair trade practices thing that not only did I lie about Sandy Hook on purpose to make money, as they falsely claim, but that I was making all this money with those lies in unfair trade practice and then demonize me selling my own products. So that's really where we are. And for people out there that say, hey, this is just for Alexjones, so what? It's the same Republicans 4 years ago when I got deplatformed that said it would never be President Trump or would never be them. They admit, the Democrats admit, they're on PBS, NBC, ABC, MSNBC, CNN, celebrating, and they've been doing it for years, saying, once we set the precedent to let government bureaucrats like this FBI agent sue somebody when no one's even ever said their name just because they got heat in public over, say, election fraud, now they can sue you and get $90 million. And here is the Secretary of State in Texas. I've got the article right here in my stack saying Alexjones unleashed hell. This is a Republican on us during the election. He caused threats to our election officials. I didn't contest the 2020 Texas election. I didn't even cover that. Project Veritas did. I should have covered it more. The point is that I'm now the whipping boy or the reason America doesn't trust the government or the reason the American people don't trust the media. And now the Secretary of State of Texas is talking about we may have to go after Alexjones because he caused threats on election officials. They have no statements. They don't have me saying be violent. I didn't even probably ever even talk about the Texas election other than saying I don't think Beto was as close as he said he was to Ted Cruz. So this is the absolute next level garbage and propaganda. In fact, overhead shot, I want to show people this. Texas Secretary of State Alexjones unleashed hell on our election people. That's the Hill. Here's another one. Republican Texas election chief blasts nuts, peddling 2020 conspiracy theories, zooms in on Alexjones. So just like they're suing everybody that questions election fraud or mail-in ballots, they never even sued me because I wasn't one of the main proponents of questioning the election like some of the more prominent people were who really got out there. I did have questions. It's my right to do it. But they're now just circling back going, okay, we just got this verdict. So now we're going to say Alexjones made people question the elections. So now if you slip on a banana peel, or now if your carburetor breaks down, or maybe you get cancer, it's Alexjones' fault. So
well, most cars are fuel injected now, but yes, the point remains.
Well, you know what I mean. That's why it's going to break down. It's an old car. It's an old carburetor.
Exactly. You have the OJ Bronco, not the new one that also breaks down. Hey, did you have a video you wanted to show, or is it us? Because we have trial highlights and we have the verdict being read, but I was told that you had a clip that you wanted to play when you came on. Do I have that right?
Stephen, I really appreciate you, first off, having me on, having the courage to defend free speech. Let me actually get this out, and I'm sorry if I'm annoying. There's just so much here and a lot of other points we haven't gotten to yet that I hope.
No, you're not annoying at all. I just want to make sure that I was told that you had a clip or a video.
Yes, let me describe this clip for you. Let me describe this clip. Okay, there's dozens of these in Texas and Connecticut. We have a compilation reel that's about 30 minutes long of them in front of the juries and at press conferences saying, take Alexjones out. Never let him rebuild his platform again. And once we take him out, we're going to take out all the right-wing disinformation operatives like Tucker Carlson, and the list goes on and on. So this is the weaponization where they sue you in Democrat jurisdictions, where they default you, claiming that you didn't give them evidence. They tell the jury you're guilty, and then the jury decides how guilty after you've been demonized. So that's just what happened in Connecticut. So here they are. Yesterday, just a small clip at the press conference, Chris Maddy, the former federal prosecutor, up there, who had this kept controlled jury that was told I was guilty, and then he says, we don't want money from Alexjones because I'm in bankruptcy. Well,
Alex, if it's in the clip, we can just watch the clip and let him say it. How long is it? Is it a minute? Is it 2 minutes? Just so I have an idea.
39 seconons.
39 seconds. All right, I want to run this.
That's quick enough.
No, you're not annoying at all. This is important, and we're going to spend as much time as we need to. I know you're busy, but this is important stuff, and I talked about it in the Cold Open Today show.
I appreciate you.
When you're ready, just roll. I guess you're rolling it from his end.
No, we'll roll it from our end then. Go ahead and roll it, guys.
All right.
But we will be at it as long as it takes. And if you're out there right now and you're one of Alexjones's audience members and you're giving him money, I just want you to know that based on the jury's verdict today, it's not a very good bet. And to go back to what Robbie Parker said, all Alexjones does is take from you, exploit you, lie to you, feed your fears and your anxieties and your mistrust. And the only person that benefits in that equation is him. Well, that stops. That's stopping today, thanks to the courage of these families. Thank you very much. Thanks, everybody.
All right, so what he just said there is, we don't want money from Alexjones. And I want to explain to listeners. We're going to appeal this.
Then they ask for money.
Get overturned.
Then they ask for money. We don't want the $900 million from Alexjones, damn it. You can make that payable to cash.
Absolutely. So if I can, I'm chomping at the bit because there's so many angles to this, Stephen. Number one, I don't have $3 million cash in my company and my personal stuff. I have enough to operate and pay the bills and legal. I got a nice house, got decent cars, but I don't worship things. So that them trying to take money away from me means nothing, and it'll actually make me work harder to expose them. I'd work for free exposing them, so they're never going to silence me without killing me or putting me in prison.
Right.
And so that which doesn't kill me only makes me stronger. But they specifically say over and over again, they want me taken off the air. They want me bankrupt. Okay, so we're in Chapter 5, Chapter 11, Subchapter 5 bankruptcy. That isn't liquidation. It's where we do a plan to the federal government. We say, okay, you can have the future profits towards all these lawsuits in the future in a 5-year plan. And there's not much profit around here, so my crew stays hired, we stay on air, it becomes a zombie organization is what they call it, because now any profit, but they're not allowed to fire people or do all that stuff. The operation continues on, the listeners support it, and then whatever extras there, they get paid. That's in 2 years at least, even if this isn't overturned on appeal. So they announce it's the end of Alexjones, it's all over. It's all more hype, more fraud, more disinformation. So that's what they just did here. And I have more clips of them specifically saying,
can I ask you a question,
want
Alex?
to take him out.
And I'm not trying to cut you off, but some of these questions are just because it's hard for me to find the truth, the answers on it. I know we talked about the cap. We talked about the cap in Texas, right? On I believe it's is it punitive damages?
Yes.
Is there a cap in Connecticut, or are you, unless it is overturned on appeal, are you on the hook for the hundreds of millions of dollars?
The short answer is they lie and say I owe $50 million in Texas. It's about 5.6. There are caps. It's in the state law. They can't overturn it.
Right.
It's different in Connecticut. The unfair trade practices, or cutmar, however they call it, that is unlimited, and that is up for the judge to decide. So she's going to come back next week and probably hit me with $1 billion more. So all the other ones do have caps, but because there's 15 plaintiffs, they're all capped at, I forget the number, like $4 million. So $10 million is more money than I can get them.
Of course.
$50 million is more. $1 billion, it's all a joke at this point. It's like saying, we're going to cut you into 20 million pieces. Well, if you cut me in 5 pieces, I'm going to die.
Right.
So they're like, we're gonna drop 25 nuclear bombs on Alex Jones's house. And I'm like, I think 1 nuclear bomb would probably kill me.
Probably.
So we're gonna shoot 20 million bullets into you instead of 5 bullets. So this is all overkill. It's just the left having a temper tantrum. They want to scare everybody else and get a bunch of other lawyers to file lawsuits to come after all the conservatives and all the nationalists and all the patriots. And I really appreciate you letting me get that out there, because it's so frustrating to be kind of only have my show that has a big audience, but it's compartmentalized because of censorship. It's very hard to actually get the truth out there.
No, it's not just censorship,
so people
Alex.
understand.
It's not just censorship. It's cowardice. You and I have had conversations, obviously off air, where I wouldn't say called you to that, but I've said I don't agree with this. I don't like that. Remember, I told you. I remember early on the show saying I don't like that you sometimes stir up infighting with conservatives. I remember you saying, you know what, I used to do that more, and I've decided the left is a more important enemy. We've had very strong disagreements. I felt compelled to have you on because some of the biggest figures in our movement, who, by the way, agreed with all of some of your quote unquote conspiracy theories that I thought were incorrect, they didn't have you on. It is censorship. And it's cowardice from people on the right. And by the way, I've experienced that too. I've experienced that for jokes that then people on the right will take out of context. So my issue is not so much with the left being the left, right? It's like being mad that a crocodile bites you. I'm mad with people on the right who aren't doing it. Let me ask you, Alex, really, point blank. I know you talk about appeals. How scared are you right now?
I am way more scared about the direction the country's going in if they admit this is a formula for everybody. I mean, while the right wing laughs, some of them, and says, oh, it's just Alex Jones, they're on every channel saying we're coming after everybody now with this model. And they've even got the Republican Secretary of State in Texas saying we want to come after Republicans that question election fraud. Give me a break. So you have the rhinos, the neocons, the rabid left allied together against the populist uprising of nationalist Americans who are peacefully trying to take our country back. So I'm way more concerned about nuclear war. I'm way more concerned about financial collapse. I mean, here's a good point, Stephen. Quite frankly, the way inflation's going, the way it accelerates towards Weimar Republic or Zimbabwe, in 10 years, there's such inflation, $1 billion will be like $1,000.
Yeah.
I mean, at the current rate we're at here, so
be like pesos.
No, I'm not scared. I am disgusted, and I really feel proud of myself because I've told the truth about this. I've said when I was wrong. They have created this whole synthetic identity for me, the straw man, and then they sat there and had to lie to a jury and suppress the truth and tell them I was guilty and rig this kangaroo court so I myself can hold my head tall. But I am in general very concerned for my children, for the country in the future, because of the rapid acceleration into total and complete corruption.
I know you have some other things you want to hit. I don't even know if we can probably show the clips on YouTube, but Gerald here, I know has a question for you. You can't see him, but he's champing at the bit. Gerald, yeah, please.
Yeah, so you said earlier that this is going to be overturned. Why do you think that it will be overturned? Not that you just have kind of this faith in that that's going to happen, but what are you guys arguing, if you can reveal that to us, on how it's going to be overturned?
Well, that's an excellent question. I have talked to dozens of very well-known constitutional lawyers. I can tell you Norm Pattis is a very well-known, successful lawyer around the country. He's talked to current and former judges in Connecticut and in New York, federal and state, that say this is the most insane craziness they've ever seen. The judge said in open court, you know, I said this months ago because she'd done rules in limine and told us what I couldn't say. She said in court, can't say you're innocent. Can't say you barely ever talked about these people. Can't say you didn't make money off of it. Can't be political, but they could hold up magazines I put out exposing Obama, but then we couldn't respond back to it. She literally tied our hands and did this. So either America's gone and completely done, or in Texas and in Connecticut, if I have the money for the appeals, that's why they want to bankrupt us right now, because they are so scared that if there's any justice left at the Texas or the Connecticut Supreme Court or the U.S. Supreme Court, they've got to overturn this because the deep state, the ambulance chaser brigade are openly saying they're coming after everyone with this, just like when I got censored.
So are you saying that you think the people in the appeals court will see the gravity of it? Is that what you're saying, why you believe it'll be overturned?
I don't know if the fix is in that high, but I know that they've got their pound of flesh, they've demonized me, they brought back up Sandy Hook, they've made a bunch of money for their charities, they got $73 million from Remington. I mean, these dead kids are cash machines for these lawyers, okay? And now nobody knows who Adam Lanza is that killed the kids, they only know Alexjones. And so, I'm sorry, what was the question, Stephen? I apologize.
No, I think you answered the question. Well, I think Gerald really wants to know, why do you believe it will be overturned? Do you think it's because they wanted to make an example of you, and then when it comes down to the actual constitutional law, it won't hold water? Is that why?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that, well, they have to, or the country's over. I mean, you have to understand, when I say kangaroo court, when I say show trial, I mean, this has never before been done. A default's when you just don't even show up. We gave them everything, exhaustive, and then they let them use the discovery that they said we didn't give them to the jury. They could put on evidence. We couldn't challenge the evidence, and I couldn't testify. That's why I didn't testify when it was time for our, quote, case. It was only a hearing and damages. The judge found me guilty. Again, since when? Well, the judge knows best. They've never done that before. They can't do that. You know, if I was caught bank robbing, or something, and I ran off to another country, then you can have default judgments to say, take my house. Because I'm not there. There's video of me robbing the bank. I've left the country. They can sue. They can get the house. That's a default judgment. I was there. I participated. I did the depositions. I had my crew members go there. I spent millions of dollars on lawyers. But because there was no case there, they were forced to default because they decided I was this supervillain and they wanted to set this precedent. So yes, all the lawyers agree that if we file a good appeal with the hundreds of bad things they did, that it must absolutely be either partially or totally overturned. And if it isn't overturned, no, I'm not scared, Stephen, because I've said on air the truth. I have less than $1.5 million in my bank account. Sounds like a lot to the average working guy, and I get it. With all my bills and crew and all this, that's on empty. My company has less than $1 million in it right now, and that's to buy product and pay payroll and fund our operation. So I never did this to make money. They had all these fake numbers. They had all our finances. They said he made $61 million last year. Our gross was $61 million. I paid myself $200,000 last year. It's all in the bankruptcy court. They know it. They know it's true. Was there a year that I paid myself $12 million? Absolutely. The year of the divorce with my ex-wife, 6 years ago, thank God it was the Trump era. For the first time ever, we had all this extra money right when she divorces me. It goes through the process, and the court made me pay her close to $10 million to, quote, buy her out of the company because I've been married to her for 13 years. So the 1 year God came through, the 1 year that because usually I make about $1 million, $2 million a year, but honest with my audience. And after all the bills and stuff and legal crap, it's gone. Of course. Okay, but I don't do it for money. The 1 year I made $12 million, God came through, magically the money came in to then buy my ex-wife out of the company. So again, they think, so it doesn't
Alex,
matter.
Can I point something out here?
$1 trillion judgment.
I want to say something here that's important because I see you, and we all struggle with this, right? Where you're saying, because I know that people think that sounds like a lot of money, and it's sad that you even have to say, no, you don't do this just for the money, but you absolutely deserve to earn a living if you have millions of people who are listening and the amount of work that you put into it. I understand it. This is what I do here as well. Conservatives are the only ones, surprisingly, the people who support free enterprise, where we feel like because our audience is largely working class, you want to say, look, don't get mad at me because I make this money. Because there's a huge difference between 1 year making $12 million and a several $100 million judgment. You know who makes $12 million every single year? Colbert, Fallon. No one cares. And I just hope that people on the right don't use that as an attack. Well, you know what? Oh, maybe he'll go cry into his millions. That is not the point. And just for some inside baseball, for people who don't necessarily know, I want to corroborate some of what you're saying. Yeah, you can't prove that you didn't make money off of Sandy Hook. Just like I can't prove that I didn't make money off of that the guy who was fired from Vox, who started the Vox apocalypse. Why? Because this enterprise makes the only way that we make profit is people signing up because they want to hear what I have to say. And sometimes what I have to say involves a specific person. Of course, it would be hundreds of thousands of people if you were to look over the course of our entire program, but that gets pulled in and they say, you can't say that you didn't make money off of insert whatever story you covered here. We've had that happen on the website.
Well, let me be clear, Stephen.
Just to give you an example, just really quickly, we've had someone on the website sue because they say, well, this actually, we don't like this article that went up, and we want you to prove that you haven't made money off of it. And it's like, well, that article maybe had a few 100,000 views or something like that. I don't remember. I'm just giving you an example. I don't remember this specific example. And they were trying to say, so you make money. You make money off of this. Your whole company is making money off. No. They don't let you parse it. That's the lie. Because you were broadcasting, and the broadcast always makes money, and even when you were covering Sandy Hook. That's why they say, if you can't prove the separation of all the streams or any potential revenue generated while you were discussing the Sandy Hook issue, then you can't say that you didn't profit off of Sandy Hook. That's the argument. People need to understand it because we all struggle with it as business owners.
I totally agree, and I couldn't say it better. In fact, when you said it better. And this is the most important point I'm going to make here, and I got a few documents if I can show them to you that are really important that tie this all together. This is a major project for 6 years, 2 years before they sued me, and then now the last 4, with literally hundreds of articles a week, sometimes thousands, every major news channel from HBO to PBS to Fox even attacking me over Sandy Hook, and building it up into this giant controversy when I was not the Sandy Hook man, to set the precedent with the Alexjones precedent to shut everybody else down. Now let's talk about this being the biggest defamation judgment in U.S. history by an order of at least 10 magnitude. If I can have an overhead shot here. Damn, I wish the survivors of Epstein received $965 million. Exactly. Good point on Twitter, Eliza. Think about that real quick.
Why the triangles?
We still don't know the names. Exactly. We still don't know. We still don't know the names of the Johns. Here's another good point. Purdue Pharma, that knew OxyContin would addict people and kill them by the thousands, have to pay $634.5 million on the $10+ billion they made profit in the OxyContin case. Alexjones killed no one, ordered to pay $965 million for Sandy Hook lies.
And I don't think anyone is blowing somebody in an alley because of their addiction to colloidal silver.
Absolutely, they're not. Here's another one. The largest fine paid by a banking executive responsible for the 2008 financial crisis was $67.5 million. Jury says Alexjones pays $965 million. Here's another one. Yes, from a lawyer, Viva Fry. Yes, except for OJ was found guilty of the actual deaths of 2 victims after a trial, that was a civil trial, whereas Alexjones was found guilty of making false statements about people who were murdered by someone else without a trial. So OJ pays $33.5 million. I pay $900+ million, and it goes on and on.
OJ was
so
innocent.
What's going to happen? Absolutely. He was found innocent by the criminal, but guilty by the civil. So when are they going to sue MSNBC for some of the lies that were done? I want $1 million. My feelings are hurt by their lies. And it just goes on from there. But those are some really important points.
No, I think these are important points. You know, I think we actually have some questions from, do we have some questions from the audience? If you're okay taking a couple, and then we'll go to Mug Club.
I want to take them. Can we play that one other clip that's about 1.5 minutes long of the lawyer saying, shut him down, silence him?
Yeah, do you have it? Do you want to play it from your end?
We have it. We're going to go ahead and roll that clip now. Here it is.
Thanks, brother.
I ask that with your verdict, you not only take Alexjones' platform that he talks about away, I ask that you make certain he can't rebuild the platform. That's what matters. Take him out of this discourse, of this misinformation, of this peddling of lies, and make sure he can't do it again. That is punishment. That is deterrence.
But somewhere out there right now is another family getting their kids ready for school, fixing their lunches, going to work, thinking about their kid. And there's going to be a day when that child doesn't come home from school. And we know it, and it's sad, and that's reality. And the question's going to be, where is Alexjones when that happens? Is he in the studio? Getting ready to pounce? Or will you stop him?
Someone get him that infomercial spray hair.
That's going to be in your case.
I have no idea what they're saying, by the way.
With all the evidence, we're going to come back and we're going to ask this stuff. Because that's what justice is in this case.
And there's many other clips of them saying, we want him off air. We don't want money for the plaintiffs. We want to silence his future speech. So even a murderer goes and does their jail time, gets out in 20 years. But no, they're saying keep him deplatformed, bankrupt him, shut him down, and don't send him money because we don't want money to the plaintiffs because they don't want me to have money for the appeals because they know there's a 98% chance this crap gets overturned, Stephen.
Well, you know what else they're doing? This is something else they're doing that people don't fully discuss, is they want to make other people afraid to even work with or for you. Makes it impossible for you to hire, right? That's what they tried to do. They tried to do that with me to a lesser scale. It's harder to do with a comedian because they would try and run jokes. But what they're trying to do is also make it impossible for you to even recoup these losses. I mean, we do have to remember, it's not just Alex Jones. You have many employees there. So some of them are great. Some of them are assholes. But a lot of them are great. But this is the thing, is they want to make sure, we all have them, right? I have some here. The Yakuza, he pisses me off half the time, but I love him. Yeah, they want to make it impossible for you to do it. This is your livelihood. Now, I want to take, if we can, I'd like to, and that is bone chilling.
Yes, sir, I got all the time in the world. Really appreciate you having me.
Okay, so we'll take a couple of chats here, and then I'll have to go to the bathroom. I've been drinking Gatorade. I had a horrible stomach virus. Be careful out there right now. It's going through Texas like a buzzsaw. Token, let's grab a couple of questions from the audience here that we usually only do on Mug Club, but it's a special occasion.
Yeah, our Mug Club viewer Jerry has a question for you, Alex. What do you feel was an appropriate penalty for what you said?
Nothing.
Nothing.
It's better that 10 guilty men go free than one innocent man be prosecuted or persecuted. They got rid of my due process. The judge found me guilty. They lied about it all. They hyped up what I said. They exaggerated it. I never sent people to their houses. It's a lie. They're setting a precedent to steal your rights, not just your rights to listen to what you want to listen to and make your own decisions. They're literally setting this up to come after the general public. An FBI agent that I never saw, never covered, never said his name till he sued me. He admitted it on the stand, was given $90 million because some people on the internet thought it didn't happen. I didn't create the story that it didn't happen. I covered it.
Right.
And so a man's getting $90 million.
You are responsible for what?
He won't get it.
No,
right. It doesn't exist. He's getting $90 million of this made-up mad money, this monopoly money, when I never said his damn name, folks. That's tyranny. That's dangerous.
And also, it's important when you'll get a lot of people on the left saying, oh, the right has a double standard because what about Nick Sandmann and CNN? What about Kyle Rittenhouse? They said his name. The president of the United States had an advertisement, had an ad that went out that associated Kyle Rittenhouse specifically with white supremacy. They said Nick Sandmann was mocking somebody, this poor Native American, Nathan Phillips, as I prefer my Native Americans to be called. Nathan Phillips. They said, yeah, he was mocking Nathan Phillips and he was stirring up the crowd. They did call out these people by name, and these people had to hire security, and these people had to go into hiding. There is a difference. You did not do that, and they did it repeatedly. They did it all day and all night, not to mention what preceded Kyle Rittenhouse was the media drumming up actual hatred and
that's right.
violence.
And they never showed any evidence I sent people to harass people or anything.
Of course not.
It was always what somebody else did.
Right. Whereas what happened is Kamala Harris said they're not going to stop, and they should not stop when answering riots. She said they should not stop the riots. The mayor of Seattle said, no, this is a summer of love. We support what they're doing. And then the media said Kyle Rittenhouse is a white supremacist who killed innocent protesters. They didn't mention the fact that it was a pedophile with a raging erection in a hospital bag. Let's token on, grab one more question, and then we'll take it to Mug Club. And when we go to Mug Club, I'm going to have to go, I've been drinking Gatorade all morning, go relieve myself, Alex, but Gerald will take the chair for like 2 minutes. One last question here, Token on.
Okay, Mug Club viewer Taylor Kohler wants to know, if people only knew one true thing about you, Alex, among all these lies, what would it be?
That was going to be my last question.
I mean, look, I'm a real person. I've got a lot of information. Sometimes I'm a little bit obnoxious because I'm trying to get through it all, like here today. And I really appreciate Stephen and the crew being so gracious so I can have a place to tell the truth. And I appreciate your courage because you do get attacked for having me on. And just this is our rights being taken. This is a Hollywood production. I'm not saying Sandy Hook didn't happen. I'm saying the production of what I supposedly did and how big it became. And this huge event. I'm not the Sandy Hook guy. I'm the guy that wrote the #1 best-selling book in the world, The Great Reset and the War for the World. That's why the globalists hate me, is because I'm exposing their corporate worldwide tyranny. I'm exposing groups like PayPal that are back, by the way, saying, if we don't like what you say, we're going to fine you $2,500. I'm opposing their authoritarianism. I'm a populist. I'm a champion of the people. And folks can actually hear the real Alex Jones at Infowars.com, Infowars.com/show or band.video. Go see the real live show. Go see the archives. Go see the guest. Go find out what I'm actually saying instead of little bitty twisted edited excerpts that the corporate media puts out. And understand, the globalists see InfoWars is the flag they want to capture. They are more obsessed with it than anything else out there right now, because when the globalists tune in, they get scared, because I know what I'm talking about when it comes to the mechanics of the New World Order.
Final question, and we're going to go to Mug Club and take some more chats. What's the next step? What are you doing here next, Alex? What's the game plan?
Well, that's a really great question. My biggest enemy is myself. I am absolutely exhausted. I'm burnt out. I drink too much. I haven't smoked in 14 years under the stress. I took up smoking again. Going out and watching comedy and hanging out with Joe Rogan. There's a lot of cigarette smoking going on.
Yeah, I don't think that's cigarette smoke.
Well, I've done a little bit of the marijuana smoke too, but I don't smoke a lot of it. But yeah, I smoke pot like once a month or something. Usually when I'm at a comedy club or go see a movie. Every time I hang out with Joe, we smoke some pot. But so sometimes I guess twice a week, but I haven't hung out with Joe that much lately. I've been too busy. But there's some days we've gone out like twice a week and get stoned, but a little bit of fun stuff there. But long story short, I need to take some time off.
That's your game plan, Alex. That's your hobbies.
Anyways. Well, I mean, it's a little bit of a name drop to all the trendy liberals that think they're trendy and think they're cool and love the police state and hate free speech. I'm the real rebel. InfoWars is the vanguard. So is Steven Crowder. We are the rebels. We are the outlaws. We are 1776. We are the counterculture, not them. And they can't stand that. And so that's what I want people to know. We are the counterculture. Steven Crowder is the counterculture. The listeners and viewers of these shows that support independent media are the future of not just America, but the world. And people can find out what all the stinks about at Infowars.com.
So it sounds to me like what you're saying, your next step is, and Alex, you know I have a lot of love for you, but sometimes it is tough to get you to answer a question. I think you're saying
right. Well, here's
your next step is you need to get some rest, is what you're saying, right? Your game plan is some rest, recoup, and come back.
Listen, I'm more ADHD when I'm totally exhausted. So I've done a lot of interviews, and I was up till 1 o'clock in the morning, and I apologize. My brain's gone right now. So yes, I realize this is what's coming next. I realize they want to take me out of the game. And I realize that I'm never going to quit now because they want to silence me, because this is a battle of wills and I know it's the right thing to do. But I also understand that if I take myself out of the game by being fried or burnt out, they win. So I am going to, in the next few months, do something I never do. I'm going to take off a week a month starting at the end of this month, November and December. I may take off 2 weeks in December. I want my listeners to understand why I've got to do it, because I've got to rest. I've got to stop drinking. I've got to stop smoking. I got to go to church, recharge my batteries. I've got to take, my daughter camping. I've got to, go camping and shooting with my son and my other daughters. And so if you're asking what's happening, I'm going to recharge my batteries, get back to family, get back to God, and come back in 2023 harder than ever.
You know what? That sounds like a plan, because a lot of people know this has been a year and a half for me since the surgery. There have been some complications that people will never fully know about. And yeah, you need to treat yourself as someone you want to take care of. But you know what? You just mentioned something. Hey, when's Rogan going to have you on his show? Why aren't you doing his show today?
I don't want to be mean to Joe. Joe told me, last time I was on the show was 2 years ago, and it was one of the biggest shows he ever did with, who was on the show with me? It was a great comedian, really funny. Yeah, Tim Dillon. And Joe's like, yeah, we'll have you on a couple months. And then, it's pretty obvious what's going on. Just a little too much heat for Joe to have me on, which is fine. He had courage about the vaccines. He's had courage about censorship. He's been criticizing the power structure, but he's not as hardcore as Steven Crowder, and I'll just say it. But at least he overall defends free speech, and I just don't think Joe can, handle it. We were out at dinner about a month ago, last time I hung out with him, and it's his pet peeve not to bring it up. And I just said, man, it really helped me with this upcoming court case because the whole media is against me. If I could get on there and explain things. And he just said, Alex, you got, there's too much craziness going on. Let's just get through this. We'll talk about it later. So I'm not really worried about it. Obviously, I'm the big interview he'd want. He even said, listen, you're like nuclear weapons. It's a big deal to have you on, but I'm not worried about it. It's really a question for Joe, Because
no,
at the end
I
of the
know.
day,
I'm just asking because you talk about how you're hanging out with him, and not only, if not him, he has a bunch of friends who could have you on. He has a whole podcast network. I don't really have that. You've been to our studio. It's really just me. I'd love to grow it eventually with other people and be able to throw more support behind folks. But right now it's me behind the desk.
On the courage scale, Steven Crowder's a 10, Alex Jones is a 10, and Joe Rogan's an 8. And I'll take an 8 all day over our enemies that are at a 0.
Of course.
And so I'm nothing but thankful to Joe for all the heat he's taken having me on.
Good.
Right.
And so I totally understand it. And you know what? I don't want to give out any inside baseball here, but I'm just going to leave it at this. I'll tell you off air if you want, but it's private. The very same people trying to silence me, I'm not going to get into it on air, but there's been some real harassment of Joe and stuff that's gone on.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I know that's happened with him, and people are, and I'm on that. I'm on that list as well. So I know we all deal with it, and that's why I say for people out there who are watching, if you're listening right now, by the way, on YouTube, please hit the like button, hit the share button. Leave a comment below because you won't find it in the algorithm. And I do ask that you join up at Mug Club. I do ask that you go, or if you want to just do the free thing.
This is an information war.
It absolutely
People should
is.
be flooding you with funding. You're one of the only professional people doing top flight comedy and analysis. I mean, it's better than the production on like these late shows that have giant budgets, 20 times your budget. People should flood you with support, and more importantly, word of mouth, because I know that's the real currency we all want, is to override the censors and to win the info war. So absolutely, everybody should support Steven Crowder, who's got the 500-pound testicles.
Well,
Joe's only got 400-pound ones. Okay?
Well,
I admire Joe's balls. Okay. But Steven, yours are bigger, and even more juicy.
Well, gosh, you did say you've been drinking too much. And part of that has to do with the fact that I have the under the cabinet microwave. I've learned my lesson. All right, hey, Alex.
No. I made a gay joke, so it goes viral, Steven. It's funny.
Yeah, and you said you have to recharge your batteries. Alex Jones is a robotic homosexual. All right, look.
Alex Jones talks about Steven Crowder's juicy balls.
Oh gosh, yeah. When do I get my 900 million? All right, look. If you have to take you want to both take we're going to go to Mug Club here. You want to both take you probably need do you need a bathroom break? I've been going for 2 hours.
Well, here's the thing. Oh, great one. I have my own show in 12 minutes, so let's take a 2-minute break.
Okay, you know what? We won't take a break. We won't take a break. We'll just go. We'll take 30 seconds. We'll go to Mug Club. It's Infowars.com. We'll ask a few more questions.
And I can go right up to the start of my show. I'm going to wrap the start of my show. So we got 12 minutes.
You need a couple minutes. But just remember, everything, even after this, everything's on air and live. So that's totally fine.
Kids, don't do this at school. Don't do this at school. Infowars.com. Don't visit it.
Right.
Don't visit it.
Don't visit it. And don't do that unless you want to look really cool. Okay, YouTube, piss off.
Cigarettes. I still don't agree about this take though. Emits like isinasyan na sobaw tewa. Nabito tewa no sa hospital.